welcome to Gardening with the Gardeners, a podcast where we discuss our favorite plants, gardens, landscape design, and all things horticulture, with a touch of our crazy homestead lifestyle thrown in.
I'm one of your hosts, Matthew Boone Gardner, a horticulturalist, landscape designer, and fourth-generation owner-operator of Boone Gardner Landscape.
And I'm Hope Gardner, Matt's wife, a horticulturalist with our local county extension office, as well as a landscape designer with the family business. And together, we make up Gardening with the Gardeners.
Welcome to episode 4 of Gardening with the Gardeners.
Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us and coming back. We really appreciate you listening.
Absolutely. So this week, we're going to, well, I guess I could say, as we always like to say, what's going on around the farm, but that certainly goes right into what we want to talk about.
Well, so the first part of October is when you start thinking about garlic.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't realize that with garlic, you have to plant it in the fall before you want to harvest. So this week I've really been working on prepping the beds and getting those ready, and we've got lots of garlic to plant.
Do you want to talk about the history of garlic?
I think it's kind of got a very interesting history. Most people also don't realize how old garlic is. I mean, it's thousands of years that we as people have been
cultivating and growing and using and
exactly
food, medicinal purposes,
all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's really been interesting to see kind of how it has advanced and kind of changed and gotten really ingrained in the culture.
So it's native to
Central Asia. Because it likes that cold climate.
Okay.
You don't really think about garlic kind of being a cold crop, but it is a crop that you plant in like October, November, and it needs those cold temperatures to really get developed.
Those freezing periods help it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very, very much so. So really, it has to have like 240 days of growing optimally. So you plant it in that October, November timeframe. And of course, all this is dependent on, the current temperatures or kind of what area or what zone you live in. So Kentucky is primarily a zone 7 to 6B.
Now, yeah. Used to be 6A, but...
Right, but, things have changed. So we want to get our garlic in right before it gets cold. You are going to get some growth coming up through the ground, through the mulch. And you're going to see some, and then it's going to stop when it gets to that freezing point. Doesn't mean that the growth has stopped. We might still have some root growth underneath the ground where we can't see, but it definitely needs those cold temperatures to really develop. And then as soon as it starts getting warm, it's really going to start growing again. But then the crazy thing is when it gets hot, garlic stops growing. So really about the 1st to middle of July is when you're going to harvest.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So garlic is a member of the Amaryllidaceae family. It's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
As the family of lilies, onions, and leeks.
So there are 2 categories of garlic. There's a hardneck and a softneck. But within those, there's like 11 major groups, and there's thousands and thousands of different varieties.
It's amazing, really.
So, it's really cool. Just to think that they start from 2 categories and end up with these thousands of different varieties because such a history.
So many cultures use this
exactly
this bulb for food that they've all developed their own varieties and
So the neat thing about the hardneck is you actually get 2 crops from one garlic. So you have the bulb that everybody thinks about, but in the spring it's actually going to produce garlic scapes, and that's the stalk that comes out of the bulb.
The scapes are those cool little curly things.
The curlicues, yes.
Yep.
Now softnecks don't have curlicues, only the hardnecks do. So when they grow, and it's probably May, I think, maybe June, it's probably May, that these scapes come out. And they grow up like a stalk, and then they start curling. And that's when you're going to trim those off, because at the end of those is the flower bud. And you really want to cut that before, because you want all of the energy that it takes that bulb to produce that scape and that flowers to go back into the size of the bulb. So when you cut that off, you want it to still be a little pliable. You don't want it to go like woody, like a stalk would be. and you trim that off. The energy goes back to the bulb. You take that scape back to the house, wash it, and then you can do amazing things. You can saute them. You can create an amazing pesto with garlic scapes.
They're delicious.
Yes, so you get
yeah.
2 different crops out of that one bulb.
They're a little more mild, not as right.
Correct.
Seems like
they
at
are.
least the ones you did for us were.
Yes. Yeah. So let's see. If you don't take that scape off and you let that bulb create that, like the little bulblets at the top, you can produce garlic from those bulbs, from those little bulblets, but it's going to take 2 to 4 years. So it takes a really long time for those to mature into a usable garlic bulb.
Gotcha. What is like the most popular garlic bulb?
What
Or some of the-
variety?
yeah, like what we like.
In our region, it's probably going to be music.
Okay.
So I've got music that I'm putting in the ground. I'm going to do to grow a nice crop of that. It's probably the best known variety because it's got a lot of rich flavor, but it's still kind of a milder garlic. It's one of the hardiest garlics, so it's very, very easy to grow in our area. Most disease tolerant.
So it's a relatively new variety because it looks like 1980 is when
Yes,
Canadian grower Al Music brought this variety from Italy.
and that's how it got its name. So
Interesting.
yeah, it is. So Mr. Music brought garlic from Italy in 1980. And so it's, like you said, a relatively new variety. But, it's a very reliable variety. And that's why, most people have kind of gone to that. With these hardnecks, these are not the ones that you're going to braid. But they only produce, on average about 6 cloves, but they're a little bit larger clove. So I also have one this year that I've got, and it's new to me. It's not a new variety at all, but it's a new to our garden. And it originated in South Russia, and it's a purple glazer garlic. It's got the highest yield. So that's why I'm going to try that. And it really does like cold winters. So we've had a lot of cold winters here lately. So I'm going to give this one a try. So it has purple.
We didn't do that last year.
We did not do
Okay.
this one last year. This is new.
Awesome.
So it's a purple bulb that has kind of a gold, like almost striping, little kind of flecks in it. So it's going to be a very mild garlic scape, and the cloves are going to be a medium size. It's got a great flavor. So it's one of the best varieties for baking.
Awesome.
So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to try this too.
So that's all your hard necks.
So yeah, hardnecks.
They're not all of them, but a little
The ones
small
that-
introduction.
Yes.
Very small.
Yeah, very quick introduction on hardnecks. And I think I said because of that scape, these are not the varieties that you're going to see braided.
Okay. Soft neck are the ones that people do the garlic
Yes,
braiding.
they make great. Now, I haven't learned to braid my garlic yet, and I had really hoped to last year. Maybe I'll get to this year, but it's something that you kind of have to sit down and just kind of learn. There's lots of YouTube and videos and things that you can see that teach you how to do that, but you just got to sit down and do it. So soft necks, they don't produce that flower stalk at all. These are the ones that are usually going to be grown commercially. And they usually have a longer shelf life than the hard necks. They produce a lot more bulbs, a lot more cloves, on those bulbs. But they typically are a little bit smaller.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. There's certain varieties of those you like, or of the soft neck?
So California white is usually the one that I think most people go to.
Okay.
It is going to be kind of a rich, full-bodied flavor of garlic. They have a little bit more of that spicy, hot flavor. And they're smaller, but they have like 10 to 20 cloves per bulb. So it really gives you, smaller, but a lot. But with that much flavor, you don't really need a lot.
Gotcha.
They're very adaptable all over. So yeah, that's a really fun one too. So the new one that I'm trying this year is Nukita rose garlic.
Nootka.
Nootka. I'm not good on pronunciation, but that's a new one I'm trying. I picked this one up at the Master Gardener conference, the state conference a couple weeks ago. So this is going to be the first time I have tried this. It's supposed to be one of the best varieties for braiding. So that's why I want to try to see if I can actually, try my hand at braiding garlic.
And what's the big deal about braiding? Just because it's a good way to store?
Yes.
I mean,
it's a great way to store because it's when you braid them and you can hang them, then you have air movement all around it.
and your garlic's less likely to rot.
Yes, exactly.
So
Yeah. So if you can find somebody that's a really good garlic braider, man, go for it. That's great.
what's the deal with the big elephant garlic?
It's not garlic. And that's what the crazy thing is. People think that elephant garlic is a garlic, but it's not. It is actually in the leek family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have to rely on you. Help me out here because everybody knows that you're much better with Latin names than I am. So hardneck and softneck are allium.
The hardneck is Allium sativum variety Ophioscorodon.
And then softneck,
Softneck is Allium sativum variety sativum.
there you go. Okay, so then if you look at our elephant garlic, it is a totally different name.
Allium ampiloprasum.
Yes.
I think I'm saying that right. Maybe not. Latin, you a lot of times don't know. And there's usually debate about.
Well, and I'm definitely not going to be the one that's going to correct you on that.
So it's still an allium, obviously.
It's still an allium. So it is
yeah.
still in that same family, but it is totally
a leek.
not. garlic.
Which explains why, even though it's so big, they're huge, but they're mild. They're much milder than your normal garlics.
They're very mild. The crazy thing is, people don't realize that you don't want to plant these in October or the fall because that cold will really affect the flavor.
It makes them bitter, right?
Very, very bitter.
Yeah.
So you definitely don't want to plant your elephant garlic in the fall. You want to wait until after the last frost.
Okay. So springtime.
Yes, so spring. So, you're going to get a very, very mild but, delicious flavor, but it's not going to be nearly as intense as the actual garlics.
Gotcha.
Yes. And if you look at a clove of elephant garlic, one clove of elephant garlic can almost be bigger than a regular bulb of garlic.
Mm-hmm.
And you're only going to get about 4, maybe 7, I think at the most, cloves on a bulb of elephant garlic.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's really neat.
So for our listeners, site selection for garlic, you want obviously a sunny location.
Very sunny.
So like 8 to 10 hours, like a full sun location.
Almost as much as you can get it, because remember the growing period is in the winter.
Yep.
So that sun is actually not as strong.
Mm-hmm.
So it needs more sunlight because that light is not as intense as it would be in the summer months.
And like most bulbs or things like that, it wants a good, well-drained soil. You don't want it sitting in water, otherwise they'll rot.
It will definitely rot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially, think about Kentucky clay.
Yeah.
It is so heavy and strong. That bulb is going to have to work extra hard to kind of get bulky, like to really expand and grow. So you definitely want high organic matter, something that's going to be loose where that bulb can grow and expand. The best pH is going to be like a 5.5 to a 7, maybe a 7.5.
Pretty basic yeah.
Yeah, so you want it, not a real heavy clay, not really, alkaline. You want a little bit more acidity in that. And believe it or not, garlic is a really, really heavy grower.
Because it grows so fast.
It grows so fast. So you really need a lot of nitrogen. So they say, if you need, let's just go with a pound of nitrogen in this area, you're going to put about 3/4 of that in the soil when you plant, and then save that other quarter for the spring when it starts growing again after the winter months.
Mm-hmm.
Nitrogen really leaches through our soils very quickly. So you don't want to do it all at once, because then by the time that goes, kind of dormant in the winter and it starts to grow again, then that nitrogen is not going to be available.
Just to review planting, so October to November for the soft neck or hard neck varieties, both
For
of those.
any of your garlic, yeah, you really want
Just
to
not
plant
the
that.
elephant garlic.
Exactly. So October 1st through November, like 15th is what is recommended.
Okay.
Now, I will say, because we usually get really cold a little bit later, if you get that in really anytime before New Year's.
Yeah, we've pushed it on.
We've kind of our weather patterns have kind of changed a little bit. So as long as your ground is not frozen.
And how far apart do we want to plant those bulbs?
You're going to plant them about 6 inches apart, and you're going to make sure that the tip, not the roots, but the tip of that garlic bulb is about 2 to 3 inches under the soil level. So, and of course, remember that the flat bottom is where the roots come out. That goes on the bottom, obviously. And as it looks like a chocolate chip cookie, that shape, that tip that gets narrow, that is the part that you want 2 to 3 inches under your soil level. So that gives it a lot of room to shoot those stalks up and still stay under the soil level. You definitely want a sunny location. Add that nitrogen in, and we're good to go. So you're going to want to stop watering in July, like 2 weeks before your harvest. And the very, very important to realize or to remember is that garlic does not compete well with weeds. So you have to keep those beds where you plant your garlic clean and free of weeds.
Back to your harvesting point, though, because it's kind of counterintuitive, because July and August and all that, we're obviously increasing watering of a lot of things, but since you're trying to harvest this, you actually want this to senesce and kind of die down.
Exactly.
And start drying out.
Definitely.
So it's kind of counterintuitive, but it makes sense when you think about it. But
right.
Yeah.
But if you're watering the rest of your garden, make sure you don't water that garlic. You want to let that, like you said,
start hardening off, shutting down.
Yes.
Yep.
So, and if you plant that in in October, and you're counting that 240 days, that's kind of that window. It doesn't mean that it's an exact science, but it is a very strong suggestion because that's that length of time that it needs to grow. If our summers get really hot early, it may be before the end of July. If you get it in late, you may want to wait until the 1st of August.
And you made a good point. It's not exact science. This is where you use visual cues, I think, because the garlic will kind of tell you the way it looks.
Yes.
Just like your perennials or your other bulbs, and the foliage starts to die down and kind of wilt and get brown, then that's when you know to harvest, correct?
Correct. So when you harvest, do not dare pull that garlic up by the stalk, because you can actually, as it dries, you can pull that stalk right out of the bulb, and you don't want to do that, because once you harvest it, you want to let it cure in a nice shaded, but well ventilated area.
Because we've done the opposite in the past, and we've had issues with rotting garlic. But no, it's important to learn from your mistakes. I think everybody needs to know that we're not perfect.
Exactly. So use a pitchfork and go a couple inches out from where you think your garlic is going to be. Go straight down into the soil and then wedge it up gently, because you don't want to damage any of that outside skins that protect your garlic bulb. You want to bring that up, shake that dirt off gently, let it cure in well-ventilated areas, and then you're ready to go.
How long do you have to cure it?
About 2 weeks.
Okay.
But you want to make sure that, it's those outside layers of the skin gets a little bit, dried out.
And so from there into storage, talk to us about storage.
Okay. So in storage, you don't want to break any of those cloves off or break the heads up until you're ready to use those.
So keep the bulbs full.
Yes, because that is protecting it. You don't want it to dry out. Properly dried garlic can last about 7 months or more.
Okay.
You do want to keep that at a very cool temperature with like a 70% relative humidity, I think is what they recommend. So, if you can put it in the basement, put it in a dark area. Sometimes your refrigerators have too much humidity, so it's really not good to store them in the refrigerator. But you do want to keep those in a very cool spot.
Okay.
Yep. So that is really, some of the fun things about garlic. Now, obviously, when you want to, you're ready to use it, you're going to use, make sure you get ones that don't have any bruises, that aren't rotting or anything. You're going to separate them out, and then they're ready to use. Now, if you're going to dry it, which I think is really fun, people don't realize that you can actually create your own garlic salts, or even your own garlic powders. But if you slice up your garlic and let it air dry for just a little bit, and then you can put it in the oven at 140 degrees for like 2 to 3 hours, and that's really dehydrating.
Or you can use a dehydrator
if you don't have a dehydrator. Yes. If you have a dehydrator, be very careful because that can be very pungent, and you may want to put that out in the garage because you don't want your whole house smelling like garlic. But once you get that all the way dehydrated, then you can just put it in like a blender or a food processor and just, blend that until it's really, really fine. Now, if you wanted to do a garlic salt, it's actually 4 parts salt to 1 part garlic powder. And then you're going to blend it for a couple seconds just to mix all those very well. If you're putting it in a blender, you might want to consider using like a coarse salt because as you blend that up, if you get your salt too fine, it's going to pack down really hard.
Okay.
Yeah, so you want it to stay really loose so that you can, shake it and use it very well. So, yeah.
Cool. Sounds great.
So, if you go ahead and plant in October, November, you can just kick back, relax all winter, and just let that garlic grow. And you're a step ahead in the spring.
Awesome. One thing I like to talk about, or want to talk about in this show a lot of times too, is either cool plant Latin or garden folklore. And just briefly, garlic is deeply rooted in folklore.
There's a lot of folklore around garlic.
For centuries, there's been legends like passed down from one generation to another about garlic, and the common theme of garlic as being a powerful ward against guarding you against evil.
Yes, and that's where Dracula comes in.
Yeah, exactly. One theory gives credit to Bram Stoker's Dracula in 1897, in which Van Helsing prescribed garlic flowers to protect the heroine Lucy because the Count could not bear the stench of the garlic.
Well, I think if you've ever been around anybody that's had a good, garlic pasta sauce, it does linger for a little while.
It does. Even in China, garlic was one of the ways to repel the Zhangzi, if I'm saying that right, Zhangzi, a kind of undead vampire creature that moves primarily by hopping. And then in Central and Western Europe, garlic is typically regarded as an herb for protection, either worn or hung in the home, around doors and windows to keep out malevolent spirits or repel the effects of the evil eye. So,
yes,
it's perfect timing that you plant in October, and
it's right there Halloween, around Halloween.
Keep you safe. So,
yeah. So that is garlic, and that's kind of what we're doing around the farm these days is getting ready, and we're going to get our garlic in the ground, and then we'll have a great harvest next summer. Maybe I'll be able to sit and learn how to braid my garlic.
Looking forward to more homemade pesto.
There we go. That's a great one too.
Yes.
Yeah. So
thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Gardening with the Gardeners. Please subscribe or follow us to get new episode updates. And please drop a rating or review. If you have a question, either gardening, landscape, or horticulturally related, you can email us at gwtg@boonegardener.com. Thank you for listening to Gardening with the Gardeners.